Even games can catch a case of the munchies. As silly as their inclusion might seem, food-centric systems can bring their own brand of delicious design to the table. There's been an unexpected amount of good design given to the culinary side of gaming, past just simple health pickups. So whether it's the holiday season where you are, or you're just on a food binge, I won't judge. I think we should take the time to taste these 7 different diet-based game designs. Hey all you chefs, I'm Skip the Tutorial, and this is the appropriately titled Game Bites, an appreciation anthology of the best bits of design that gaming has to offer. And hey, if this is your first time here, then pick up and subscribe for weekly insights into your favorite game mechanics. Health in the Zelda series, for the most part, has remained fairly standard. Swipe your sword at some grass to net a heart, or maybe swig a drink of Nana soup and voila, you're back to fighting shape. Despite this, Breath of the Wild took this established concept, like many of its breaks from form, and shifted down a whole new approach. With the given ability to use any nearby pot to stew up some various plant, animal, and monster bits, the player can create a whole grocery store value stack of different recipes. With each new dish that you stir up boasting some different kind of buff, you'll be testing various amalgamations of ingredients for your meals, since these recipes aren't clearly laid out. Experimentation with your cooking is encouraged, and can yield either a new delicious concoction or a nasty mess up not worth saving for leftovers. On top of this, your constant drive to be a culinary master in this title incentivizes you to collect various items specifically for this purpose, such as picking up plants for stamina, monsters for potions, or wildlife for some prime cuts of meat. This all pumps up to create a solid amount of weight to the curiosity while exploring the map, since you now have the reason to roam around and see the range of different cuisine. And as everything in the game points back to the central theme, this ability also serves to the wild nature put forth by the title. It's the name of the game, and it absolutely deserves it. In Clay's 2013 survivalist title, everything comes back to the one central concept: don't starve. And while this might come across as basic or fairly straightforward, it's the way this one necessity interweaves throughout the other decisions within the game that makes it a joy, in my opinion. From the second you load up a new save, you'll notice your hunger meter dwindles down. Out of fear of the 1.25 damage per second when your stomach bottoms out, so much of your key decisions within a run cycle back to this aspect. And while the game gives you a myriad of different ways to collect your fair shares of food, such as foraging, trapping, farming, or even hunting, it forces you to try different strategies as old ones run dry. There's only so many scraps to find lying around, and getting rid of all the local animals will antiquate the source fast. So you need to start finding methods of self-sustainability, all the while dealing with an overarching hunger timer. The end result of this is driving the player to test a whole slew of knee-jerk decisions, such as eating some monster meat to fill you up, but take a hit to your health, or watching yourself go insane as you gorge on raw meat, and partner all of this with the built-in seasonality and rotting timers. And Don't Starve makes sure that you're always just that little bit worried about your next meal, which gives way to some fantastic emerging strategies. This is one of the simplest yet most important mechanics in gaming, codifying the system of power-ups in games. This iconic mushroom has seen numerous different iterations as the portly Italian plumber jumps across his 30-year legacy. And while items such as the mega and tiny mushrooms take this edible to the extreme, I really think the best place to study this mechanic originates back to the 1980s series start. Defining the classic Super Mario Bros. Experience on the NES, the mushroom gives a shocking amount of depth for just being an 8-bit pixel fungus. Seriously. As plain as it might seem by today's standards, the distinctions between big and small Mario give way to a neat set of developing paths. For example, take a look at the iconic 1-2 level. Whereas small Mario lacks the proper mass to break bricks to clear his way, his shorter stature gives way to some new routes as you sail under 1-block high gaps with speed. Contrast this with the Big Lug, who can easily crush and smash through obstacles, no problem. But while these differences do stick out, it's worth noting that you maintain your speed and leap values at both heights, so the platforming can stay balanced and not overly reward either side. Even the extra hit that the bigger side nets is counterbalanced by the larger hitbox for more opportunities to get attacked. And come on, it also scores some points for being at the top of recognizable items in all of gaming history. For those who haven't played it, Battle Chef Brigade is, by all means, an exciting game packed to the brim with a bunch of different ideas, which somehow miraculously come together into some form of delicious dish. Taking action RPG combat and mixing it with match 3 style cooking is as weird as any guilty pleasure food combination. But these two systems really come together with the implementation of the loadout system. With only a few limited slots for packing your item prep for each round, you'll have to choose consistently between aiding your cooking or combat side. Do you bring goods to allow for some easier matchups, or deck yourself out to the nines so hunting your monster meals is a breeze? Moreover, the system heavily emphasizes a sense of bringing the right materials to a cook-off, since some will boast particular elements that a judge might not be partial to eating. Purchasing new tools to test out, there's a large amount of improvisation with each day. As well, since you enter in the contest blind and work your way for the set taste of the panel, which might mean you'll be running through again to edit your build for a better suited victory. And while this system can give a bit of retry as you work your way to the proper build for an event, the satisfaction that comes from nailing a combo of items for your specific dish cannot be understated. It's no secret, this pink puffball loves food. Even going so far as to set out on a dead set journey through Dreamland just to get back his strawberry shortcake from the Squeak Squad in his DS title. There are even numerous mini-games lining the series that are centered around snagging some munchies, such as Gourmet Race. And with all these food-focused outings in the series, there's plenty of delicious designs going on behind the scenes. And my personal favorite has to go to the way that Kirby shares his food with his pals. After picking up one of the various cuisine-themed health items, within a certain time window, you can then share these with your allies in the game, on top of just being a nice wholesome spectacle on your screen. This also drives players toward a constant consideration of your friend's health, since you work to heal them just as much as yourself. This also pairs nicely with the ability to constantly see your friend's health bars, giving you full range to manage their life bars to keep them from going away. Through this system, the game provides a further drive toward co-op that even sticks out amongst other similar games in the genre, since there's little room to steal from your friends in need when sparing them a couple bites is so easy. Overall, I think this small little touch goes a long way in showing the teamwork and friend dependability so central to the multiplayer in these games, and gives a key bit of example to the notion that sharing is caring. Running a restaurant is tough business, with 90% of establishments closing doors within that first year. So when Cook Serve Delicious released in 2012, it had to create a fair amount of stress in its mechanics. And while certain dishes take a comparable amount of ease to create over others, developer Vertigo defends against this with the use of the all-important buzz system. This metric is a key representation of how excited customers are with your restaurant, and you'll swiftly come to learn their fickle nature after a few days of service. The main driving force for this restaurant hype comes from the sum total of active positive and negative factors, stemming from menu choice in previous events, among other things. And managing this percentage is serious business since it'll directly impact the number of customers coming in during normal hours. Since there's no default value for this total, you'll constantly be tweaking and changing your restaurant's lineup to properly account for the business in the store. Variables such as an overabundance and reliance on fatty foods will cause detractors such as menu rot, whereas keeping it fresh with more complex dishes like salads and other healthy foods will keep buzz booming. Effectively, this becomes a variable difficulty system within the game, because being able to handle the more trying tasks will get more money and waves are harder to please customers. Yet keeping it simple with easy foods will give fewer people overall, and be generally easier to manage until you can handle the higher stuff. Overall, this system gives a satisfying amount of tension as you need to constantly keep your thumb on the pulse of your purchasing base, and the right amount of stress that comes from managing all that. You can't talk about great multiplayer experiences without mentioning Ghost Town Games' magnificent Overcooked series. Kicking off in 2016 to rave reviews, fans and critics alike were quick to praise the creatively hectic gameplay stylings of this cooperative gem. So when a port came to the Switch come 2017, it was a no-brainer to pick up a copy upon its release. However, this port wasn't exactly perfect, showing off some frame rate issues that hinder the quick reaction times needed to score high enough rankings for the 3-star system. There were unnecessary difficulty spikes when playing through the story mode. That being said, the strength of its potential on the platform was definitely seen through the large support of the port's release, and plenty of players, myself included, were chomping at the bit for a sequel, and boy did the whole team over at GTG and Team 17 knock that out of the park and then some, with Overcooked 2 launching on the Switch with great improvements, as the game was built from the ground up with the system as a focus, on top of just the graphical and performance bumps. The sequel also introduces a new mechanic, the throw, that turns the intensity to an 11 on an experience that was already pretty heated, while passing around the raw materials necessary for the game's multiple different recipes. You'll start messing with using the X button to chuck around ingredients for quality of life improvements, such as tossing a head of lettuce to your pal to chop, or even draining 3 straight into the cooking pot. This keeps the game's momentum at a boiling point, as trying to catch a flying sheet of seaweed pushes the precision of your teamwork to new heights, as missing a throw could cost you more time than the move might have saved. And while this does serve as a fun time boost in the earlier stages, later levels lean heavily on a proper use of this concept, as you and your sous chefs are split up amongst different river rafts. And that's another way I think the game treats this slightly unhygienic mechanic properly. The fact that you can use this ability from the outset benefits curious cooks who experiment with it in the earlier stages, since they'll be Gordon Ramsay master chefs of the concept by the time they reach the game's more difficult missions. But overall, take this core mechanic, season it with a little bit of teamwork, a dash of risk, and I think you got the perfect dish to share with your friends. So dig in. Hey there, mince up this one in the top right for the 7 Pokemon features keeping the series fresh, or stir down in the bottom right for another video. If you want to support the channel, then pre-hit that subscribe button to 350 and you'll get notified next time another upload's cooked up. Until then, take care, and you have a good one, alright?